Welcome to this version of In the Spotlight with Jeannie and Kathleen. We're back at it again talking about schools and the mask mandate because there was an explosive situation that happened with Timothy Christian out of Elmhurst. We're going to fully discuss that in segment 1. Segment 2, we're talking with John Cabello, former state rep, former colleague of mine, police officer in the Rockford area. We want his input about what's going on with policing in the wake of the Ella French murder. We also will be talking to an additional police situation that occurred in Mount Prospect this week where, there was a discussion over whether or not that the Mount Prospect police could keep their patch, which currently has a thin blue line. We're going to talk to somebody who was there on site and what she found out about Antifa weighing in on getting rid of the patch. It's very alarming, and their connection to the League of Women Voters up there as well. Segment 4, we're going to talk about the Illinois Vax Verify system. This is just probably one of the most horrific things ever to occur. And if you're going to do a Vax Verify system, why are you linking it to my credit analysis, which is what Illinois is trying to do? More on that. And then segment 5, we're going to talk to you about we're going to review events that occurred. And one of the big events we had was in the matter of 2 days. We got 200 people together for a Get Rid of the Mask Mandate rally. And so we'll talk about that too. But back to the top of the segment. And this is a really alarming situation.
Chilling, really.
It is chilling.
Yeah.
So Timothy Christian School, which is a K through 12th grade school system, and they're headquartered out of Elmhurst. They came out with a very reasonable video statement by their principal, Matt Davidson, or their superintendent, that basically said, we've looked at everything from our point of view. We've looked at the situation on the ground. We've looked at the families that are in our school system. We looked at the vaccination rates in DuPage County. We looked at the health concerns. We looked at all the information we know about masks and everything else. And we've decided that we're going to go with mask optional.
Yeah, actually, he said we're simply going to explore this further.
Yeah, we're going to explore
We
this
decided
further.
on mask optional. We're not making a final decision.
We're not
right
making
now because you said so.
That's right. But because remember, in the wake of J.B. Pritzker's decision, which was August 4th, last week, as we record this podcast, people were making different decisions. In fact, school districts immediately flipped on a dime and said, okay, now we're going to go with masks.
The gist of it is, all he said was, we're thinking about considering this a little longer.
That's
he didn't
right.
come out and say, we're not doing that. He didn't come out and say nothing like that. He said, we're still thinking about what we're going to do.
Right.
And we're a private school, so we're not necessarily influenced by the state.
That's right. They're a private
Or so
school.
they thought.
Or so they thought. However, immediately, and by the way, here's the process, because we've seen other public schools kind of go through this. So here's the process. So a Red Hill School District downstate basically said, you know what, we're going to go with mask optionals. And they did this in late May prior to the decision being made by ISB that you could go mask optional based on CDC updated recommended guidance in June. So Red Hill gets slapped down and says, well, we're going to explore probation with you. That's their letter from the Illinois State Board of Education. Well, the way that works is that they're put on probation, and within 30 days, there has to be a meeting between that school and the state board as to what's going on. And then they were told that they get 60 days to come up with some sort of corrective plan to make sure that they don't fully go on probation.
Every school district should do that and go on probation and force the State Board of Education to individually meet with them about what's going on, and not just writ large, except J.B. Pritzker's.
Well, that would be our preference.
That would be our preference.
Okay, so then they've got 60 days to come up with a plan, and then there's another 30 days to review the plan. So at a minimum, before you can fully be put, lose your accreditation and be put on probation, then you have to go through at least 120 days of review. They didn't do that based on the supposition that he had said that they're going to go mask optional in defiance of the governor's executive order, which was not true.
Thinking about defying the governor's
that was
order.
not true. They interpreted that way, which was not true. Not true.
Yes.
Based on that, literally within the matter of hours, the Illinois State Board of Education school superintendent, Carmen Ayala, which, by the way, she is a failure. She is a failed superintendent. When she was in charge of the Berwyn North School District, at the end of her term, only 25% of the kids did math at grade level, and she's in charge of all the schools.
She's in charge of your kids' schools.
She's in charge of all the schools, so she has zero credibility with me. By the way, I've been all over her since the time that J.B. Pritzker appointed her as school superintendent. But within the matter of hours, she sends this awful letter to Mr. Davidson, and she says, pursuant to ISB's authority, this is what, effective immediately, we are putting you, we are removing your school status as a recognized non-public school. Okay, I have this on my phone. Effective immediately. And as a result of being a non-recognized...
For thinking about not following the rules.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, these rules are arbitrary, completely arbitrary. There's absolutely no science behind the masking.
They're actually not laws because the governor mandates are not laws. The executive branch cannot the CDC cannot make law.
In the CDC's ruling or recommendation is not law. It was only a recommendation. So none of this makes sense. But as a result of being non-recognized, your school is now subject to at least the following items. Okay, first, seniors who graduate from a non-recognized school will receive a diploma that is non-recognized by ISB. This action is irreversible. Should the school later regain its recognition status, and these students will forever have a degree that is from a non-recognized school. He says your school, families, and students will be unable to participate in the Invest the Kids Act for scholarship programs subject to regulations by the Illinois Department of Revenue. And your school will become ineligible to participate in Illinois High School Association and Illinois Elementary School Association sanctioned sports.
Because about defying us, we're going to punish your students and your families and impact their future as detrimentally as we possibly can. We're going to take the full force, all our power, everything we can possibly do to hurt your students and their families. We will do it. That's right. Governor Pritzker's hand-picked State Board of Education.
In the matter of hours. Now, but there have been other reports of other school districts in this state saying, you know what, we're going to go mask optional, talk to us.
Yes.
They didn't do this. They picked out a private Christian school to denigrate them and make them an example within the matter of hours.
Yeah.
They are looking for a fight.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, citizens of Illinois, you better put up a fight. Yeah. You need to stand up with Timothy Christian, and shame on the Catholic diocese for not saying, you know what, you want to bring it, bring it.
Yep.
You want to bring on this fight, bring it. We're standing with Timothy Christian.
And our own families.
And our own families, because we had already decided mask optional.
Yep.
And we don't see a change in anything. We can read the science and the reports as well. We're going to stay with them, but they didn't do it. They caved as well.
Yep.
So huge fight back in May. We're not going to let the governor take over our public and private schools. And now they capitulated in the matter of hours.
Diocese of Joliet, you went to all of your families. You sent. I was so proud of the school when they did this. They sent to all of their families, HB 2789 will give the state the power to take over state public and non-public schools. A whole long letter about how bad this would be for St. Michael's and Wheaton or any other diocesan school. And parents did it. There were over 17,000 witness slips filed in opposition because parents were so upset. Your families don't want this. You don't want this. And because what that bill did was gave the power to Pritzker's handpicked Department of Health to shut down public and non-private. But because that's killed in the Senate right now, Pritzker just went ahead and did it by a mandate, and you capitulated. You caved. You caved, and you have a lot of power. Your families don't want this. I mean, your families killed that bill. The Catholic diocese, they around the state of Illinois educate a lot of kids. Yes. You could have stood with Timothy Christian and made an impact. My own kids, and instead you didn't. Yeah. And instead you didn't. It's just very shameful. I don't even know what to think. So, unfortunately, I mean, Timothy Christian has now basically, I don't want to say that they caved, but they came to the conclusion that they didn't want to put their kids in that situation. No, so they said that they would comply with J.B. Pritzker's order for students to wear masks to prevent the spread.
of COVID-19. It's just so
well, it's like you were saying before, you're in an impossible situation right now. And so you're going to have to, we were talking about this earlier. You're going to have to let these people know. We talk about it all the time. We do talk about this. You're going to have to let these people know and be in there, have the rallies and all of this, and continue to state your case and take it to the school board. But at the end of the day, it is the elections in a year and a half that are going to matter. And you need to make sure they know you're going to take them out of office. And then when the time comes, take them out of office.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And in the meantime...
By the way, this isn't happening in Iowa. It's not happening in Indiana. It's not happening in Tennessee, Wisconsin. You name it. It is not happening this way. They are going mask optional. They are saying mask mandates are banned.
Yep.
This is not happening. And so it just...
And in the meantime, you're going to have to walk your kids through this.
That's right.
So I'm not in a position to homeschool. I can't, pull my kid out of public school. So I'm going to give them as much information as I can. We're going to visit free states. We're going to do as much to strengthen them against this indoctrination that's going to be pushed on them for the next, year and a half until we elect a new leader.
That's right. I'm just basically going to tell you, you are walking through a period in history where your leaders, your quote unquote leaders, are lying to you.
Yeah.
And don't kid yourself, kids. This is what tyranny looks like. You are facing it right now. The solution comes at the ballot box. We are Americans 100%. Still. That's where the solution is. Go ahead. I mean, I have a senior. She's my last of 5 kids. Our last year in school.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help her make her own choices. On this situation, but she is very, very much informed. By the way, she's everybody's. You need to talk to your kids about what is occurring and saying, we're going to play their stupid, silly games, and we're going to make sure our classmates know this is a joke.
You do not present a threat to anyone.
Yes.
Because you're not wearing a mask. That is BS. That is,
but they're going to know the hypocrisy of this, because they're going to go to competitions outside of the state, and there's going to be kids unmasked completely. And I can't wait for the first show choir competition that's in Iowa, and all these show choirs show up, and they are not masked. And what are you really? You're going to have Wheaton Warrenville South in masks? Are you kidding me?
Well,
are you kidding me?
They're not going to. When you're out of state, you don't do it.
I know. That's so kids know that it's a joke.
Take your kids to as many other states as you can.
That's right. Show them what reality looks like, because Illinois is a disaster. Oh, is this going to solve your pension problem that went up multiple billions of dollars in 1 year? I think the pension problem spiked another $7 billion last year.
And property taxes.
These guys are creeps.
No.
Solution comes in 2022, and then in 2023 when you take out your school board members who have allowed this to happen and refuse to stand up for you.
Yep.
Okay, wow. That's enough for segment 1. We're going to get your blood boiling again when we talk with John Cabello in segment 2 about policing and what's happening in the state as well.